Hello everyone, this is Sam from Language Atlas, and in this video, I'd like to show you the Russian A1 vocabulary Anki deck. In this video, we will go over three things. First, I'd like to show you the course structure of the Russian A1 vocabulary Anki deck. Second, I'd like to show you the course content. And third, I'd like to show you some brief system and editing options. Now, as you can see, I have the Russian A1 vocabulary Anki deck right over here. Now, normally I would double click to open it, but I've already done so, as you can see right over here. So I will maximize Anki, I'll click on this little plus icon, and I'd like to get started with my first point, which is to show you the course structure. Now, inside the overall Russian A1 vocabulary Anki deck, there are 9 chapters, beginning with chapter 1 pronouns, and then going to chapter 2 conjunctions, and then chapter 3 verbs, chapter 4 determiners, chapter 5 nouns, chapter 6 adjectives, chapter 7 adverbs, chapter 8 prepositions, and finally chapter 9 numbers. Now, in front of chapter 5 nouns, you see a little plus icon. If I click on that, you can see that there are subdecks inside of it, 20 to be precise, ranging from academia and intellect and animals all the way to time, maths and numbers and transportation. Now, what I've done is that I've categorized nouns by theme. So if you wish to learn more about a certain theme, you are able to do so. So if you wish to learn more about clothing and fashion, you can do so, or about home, about sports, hobbies and activities, about time, math and numbers, whatever you want, you are able to learn more about that and practice. So that was my first point, to show you the course structure. Now I'd like to go to my second point, which is to show you the course content. And do so by having a look at 3 decks within the overall Russian A1 vocabulary Anki deck. I will have a look at chapter 5 nouns, and then to be a bit more precise, at society and economy. I will have a look at chapter 6 adjectives, and I will have a look at chapter 3 verbs. So I will begin with chapter 5 nouns, and then I'll go to society and economy. I'll click on study now, and we see the following. We see a sentence in Russian. We see a blank area over here. We see an English translation of that Russian sentence with a certain part bolded and underlined. Now, the word that we're looking for is model, but then of course in Russian, so that goes over here. And we have a visual representation of the sentence. And of course, you see the word that we're looking for as well, model. Now, many studies have shown that if you have such a visual representation, it's much easier to understand and memorize the words and sentences that you're practicing. So this will help you a lot when it comes to really understanding how to say model and really knowing what the sentence is about. So again, first card type is Russian sentence, blank area, English translation, with a certain part bold and underlined, and this is the word that we're looking for, and the visual representation of that sentence and of that word. So, a detailed model of an aeroplane is on the table. How do you say model?
На столе стоит детальная модель самолета. Модель. Модели.
So, there are 3 areas. We have a sentence area, we have a singular area, and we have a plural area. I'll begin by showing you the sentence area. So right over here, we have the correct answer with a certain part bolded and color-coded. This was the word that we're looking for, but you can tell that it's in pink. And why is this the case? Well, Russian is a gendered language. Nouns are either masculine, feminine, or neutral. And what I've done is that I've color-coded the nouns. So male nouns are blue, female nouns are pink, and green nouns are neutral. So just to make it easier to memorize, male nouns, blue, feminine nouns, pink, neutral nouns, green. So in this case, we know it's a feminine noun, and this color coding will really help you and make it easier to memorize what the gender of a noun is. So this will aid you a lot. So this is the correct sentence. Underneath that, we have the IPA notation. And this IPA notation is here so you can better practice your pronunciation. It's not strictly necessary, but I know that many people enjoy having it here as well. Of course, you can also rely on audio for pronunciation. We have the English translation of the Russian sentence, and we have the audio.
На столе стоит детальная модель самолета.
Underneath that, we have the singular area. We have the correct Russian noun. And over here, we have the word F between parentheses. This is to show you the gender, F for feminine. Underneath that, we have a little pronunciation area. This over here is the IPA notation, as you see right over here. Pardon me, right over here. But this part is the Russian word, but then with added stress markers right over here. So many people have asked me, how do you know exactly where to put the stress in Russian? Of course, you can rely on audio.
Модель.
But having it in writing with a little stress marker over here will help you a lot, of course, as well. So this little part over here is for your pronunciation. You can rely on IPA, you can rely on the words with stress markers, or both. Underneath that, we have the English translation and the audio.
Модель.
So the third and final area is the plural area. We have the Russian word in its plural form. And again, you have the IP notation that you've seen before. And we have over here the Russian word with stress markers. We have underneath that the English translation and we have the audio.
Модели.
Great, let's continue. A cent lie under the table. How do you say cent?
Под диваном лежал цент. Цент. Центы.
Great. So a cent lay under the table. Oh, pardon me, a cent lay under the sofa. Sentence area, singular area, plural area. Your money is lying on the table. How do you say money?
Твои деньги лежат на столе. Деньги.
Let's continue. Yesterday the dollar was cheaper.
Вчера доллар стоил дешевле. Доллар. Доллары.
And as you can tell, it was before as well, but it's blue, so this means masculine. Your bill is lying on the edge of the table. How do you say bill?
Ваш счет лежит на краю стола. Счет. Счета.
Great. So again, we have the sentence area, we have the noun bolded and color-coded. And as we mentioned before, if a noun is color-coded as blue, it means it's masculine. So bill is masculine. We see the singular area, we have the M for masculine, and we have the plural area as well. Can I pay by card? How do you say card?
Можно заплатить картой. Банковская карта. Банковские карты.
Great. So we have the sentence area, pink, so it's feminine. We have the singular and the plural area. I found a new job. How do you say job?
Я нашел новую работу. Работа. Работы.
Great. Let's do one more. How did your interview go? Did you get the job? How do you say interview?
Как прошло твое собеседование? Тебя взяли на работу? Собеседование. Собеседование.
Great. So the setup you already know, sentence, singular, plural. But this time the word that we're looking for is in green. And that means that it's neutral. So masculine nouns show up as blue. Feminine nouns show up as pink. Neutral nouns show up as green. And of course you can see it right over here, the N for neutral. So we just finished with the nouns deck. Now I'd like to go to the second one that I promised to show you, which is the adjective deck. So let's continue with our second deck after finishing the first one. Study now. And we see the same setup over here. So this was card type 1. We see a Russian sentence. We see a blank area. We see an English translation. We see the part that is bolded, underlined, that was what we're looking for. So how to say different in Russian. And we see a nice visual representation. So how do you say different?
У моего брата совсем другой характер. Другой, другая, другое. Другие.
Great. So same setup, but slightly different. Now, this is the correct answer sentence with the word that we're looking for in the color indigo. Now, does the color indigo mean anything? No, absolutely not. It has no particular meaning. Before with nouns, we saw that colors did have a meaning, but with all other cards, so all other chapters, the right answer will be shown in indigo. It has no meaning, but this is just a nice visual cue, so you immediately know where to find the correct answer in the sentence. So one more time, in nouns, we have blue, pink, and green. and they show if a word is masculine, feminine, or neutral. But for all other cards, you will see the right answer in indigo. It has no meaning, just so you know what the correct answer is in the sentence. So this is the correct answer sentence. We have the IPA, a little aid for pronunciation, English translation, audio.
У моего брата совсем другой характер.
And then we go to the singular area. And now this may be a little bit different. So you can see we have the same adjective with 3 different versions. That is because Russian is a gender language. So we have adjectives in masculine, feminine, and neutral form. So you have all 3 forms when you practice with this deck. And of course we have the word with the accent marker, so you know where to put the stress, a nice little stress over here. And we have the IPA notation. So whichever version you find more useful, maybe you can do both, whatever your preference is, a nice little aid for pronunciation. English translation and audio.
Другой, другая, другое.
And then we have the plural area over here.
Другие.
Let's continue. I won't watch such a long film. How do you say long?
Я не буду смотреть такой длинный фильм. Длинный, длинная, длинные. Длинные.
Great. So same setup. Sentence area, singular, plural, and of course you have the different versions depending on the gender. Our new neighbor is very tall. How do you say tall?
Наш новый сосед очень высокий. Высокий, высокая, высокая. Высокие.
Wonderful. The suitcase is full, it won't close. How do you say full?
Чемодан полный, он не закрывается. Полный, полная, полная. Полные.
Great, let's do one more. You have very fast internet. How do you say fast?
У тебя очень быстрый интернет. Быстрый, быстрая, быстрые. Быстрые.
Great. So we have the sentence area right over here. We have the singular area right over here. We have the plural area right over here. Correct sentence, IPA, English translation, audio.
У тебя очень быстрый интернет.
The adjective in its different forms depending on gender with stress markers, IPA, English translation, audio.
Быстрый, быстрая, быстрые.
And of course, plural form as well.
Быстрые.
Great. I could continue, but I think you get the picture. Now I'd like to go to chapter 3 verse, which is the last one that I'll show you. Click on study now. And we see, again, card type 1, the same setup. Russian sentence, blank area, English translation. We need to complete the project today. We see a nice visual representation of it. And let's see what the answer is.
Нам нужно завершить проект сегодня. Завершать, завершить.
Great. There's one little thing about this that I find really interesting that I would like to share with you. So this part you already know. Correct answer sentence. Correct answer in indigo, which has no special meaning but just a nice visual cue. We have the IPA, we have the English translation, we have the audio.
Нам нужно завершить проект сегодня.
But now with verbs, there's one little thing that I like to note. You can see 2 answers over here. One says IMPF and another says PF. Well, why is this the case? Russian verbs often come in 2 versions. One version is used for general, repeated, or ongoing actions, sometimes called imperfective, this one. And the other version is used when the action is seen as completed or as one whole result, sometimes called the perfective. So in Russian, you really need to learn these pairs, and this Anki deck gives you both pairs. So this will be a really good aid when it comes to learning the Russian language. So pairs, the ones with little stress markers, you know where the stress goes, the IPA notation for you, the English translation,
Завершать, завершить.
and audio giving you both pairs. Let's continue. It is difficult to dance in these shoes. How do you say to dance?
В этих туфлях трудно танцевать. Танцевать, станцевать.
Great. Same setup, sentence area, verb area, and we see both pairs. One imperfective, one perfective. I forgot to add sugar to the coffee. How do you say to add?
Я забыл добавить сахар в кофе. Добавлять, добавить.
Wonderful. Sentence area, verb area, and we see both forms. Allow me to introduce you to the director. How do you say to introduce?
Разрешите познакомить вас с директором. Знакомить, познакомить.
Wonderful. We see the sentence area, and of course, we see the both forms of the verb. Let's do one more. The best way to relax is in a hot bath. To relax.
Лучший способ расслабиться – это горячая ванна. Расслабляться, расслабиться.
Great. So sentence and verb area. So that was my second point to show you the course content. Now I'd like to go to my third point, which is to show you some brief system and editing options. Now you may have noticed that all of the exercises we have done so far were fill-in-the-blank exercises. You see a sentence with a blank area. It's your job to know what goes inside that blank area. Now for those that want to practice their spelling, there's an optional typing exercise. This is disabled by default, but I will show you how to enable it. So we go to Browse, and then we click on the Russian A1 vocabulary Anki deck. Now I'd just like to show you something. If you scroll down on any card, it doesn't matter which one, you see that there's an enable typing practice. Now all you have to do is type in yes, and the card will have an additional typing exercise as well. Now doing this for all the cards one by one is a very slow process, but I'll show you how to do that in a faster way. So click on any of them, it doesn't matter which one. Control A or Command A, or Command A. Then right mouse click, Notes, and we go to Find and Replace. For find, we enter nothing. For replace with, we enter yes. And for in, we go to enable typing practice. We will click on OK, and you can see that all the notes, all the sentences have been updated. So now you can see there's a yes over here, and we'll do a typing exercise. So let's have a look. I will go to verbs, and I will click on study now. Now this is a card that we have already seen before. We need to complete the project today. But this time there's a typing exercise as well. So the second card type really tests whether you can spell the words correctly. Let's see what happens if I enter the correct answer.
Нам нужно завершить проект сегодня. Завершать, завершить.
Great. So now you can see my answer was correct, and I know that's correct because Anki gives me the answer in green. So if the answer was correct, it will show up in green. However, what if we did not know the correct answer and made a mistake? What happens then? So I will enter an incorrect answer, and let's see what happens.
В этих туфлях трудно танцевать. Танцевать, станцевать.
So we did this card before, but then it was only fill in the blank, and now it's a typing exercise. So the first part of my answer was correct, shows up in green. But the last part, I made a mistake there. It shows up in red. However, Anki also shows you the correct answer right over here. This is what I should have had. So the second card type tests where you can spell the word, where you can type it correctly. And this can be handy as well if you want to practice that. But let's say, I could continue, but you get more of them. But let's say that you want to revert. You want to go back to only the first card type, which is fill in the blank. All you have to do is get rid of all the yeses. Now again, this can be a very slow process if you have to do it one by one. So I will click on Russian A1. I'll click on any of the cards, it doesn't matter. Control A or Command A. Right mouse click. We'll go to Notes. We'll go to Find and Replace. And we want to find the yes, and we want to replace it with nothing because we want it to be empty. In enable typing practice. And now we see that the yes has disappeared. But we're almost done. We'll go to Decks. We will go to Tools. and we will go to empty cards. And you can see that we have those empty areas right over there. And we want to get rid of those extra optional typing practice cards. We'll click on delete, and that's it. Now we're done. So now you'll only have the card type 1, which is the fill in the blank. Now there's one more thing that I wanted to show you. Many people ask me, Sam, how do you regulate the amount of cards that you see per day? And what are the best settings to use in Anki? Well, I'll show this to you now. So next to Russian A1 vocabulary, you have this little icon. We click on it and we go to options. And we get a pop-up and it says daily limits. And we have two areas. We have new cards per day and we have a maximum reviews per day. New cards per day essentially regulates how many new cards you see every day. In this case, it is 15. And the maximum reviews per day regulates how many reviews you do per day. So review is a card that you've already done before. And please note it says maximum. So it doesn't mean that you have 150 reviews every day, but there's a maximum amount of reviews. And in this case, it's a 150. So if you want to increase it, you can. I can change this to 30. I can change this to 300. And I click on save. And the number is increased. And I can go back here. I can decrease it, let's say 5 and 50. And the numbers have decreased. I really recommend for someone new to Anki to choose 15 new cards per day and a maximum of 150 reviews per day. I think this is a good, fair amount. You'll do a nice number of cards, but I don't think it will overwhelm you. But again, you can change it to whatever you want. A nice little trick is to do new cards per day and then do the reviews times 10. So this becomes 5 and 50. And this can be 15, 150. So this is just times 10 of new cards per day. If I go down, I see an area called FSRS. Now what is this? This is essentially a newer and more effective algorithm. Anki has a default algorithm, but this one is a lot more effective. And what is the algorithm? Essentially, the algorithm determines which cards you see when. And this, in turn, will have an effect on your memorization of the cards. This algorithm is a lot better than the default one of Anki. Studies have been done into this. So I recommend that you turn this on. And for desired retention, I have 90%, and I would recommend that you do 90% as well. So to summarize, new cards per day, 15, maximum reviews, 150. FSRS, I turn it on, and desired retention is 90%. Click on save. And that is what I wanted to show you in this video. I hope you enjoyed my explanation and overview of the Russian A1 vocabulary Anki deck. If you want to get the Anki deck, you can go to languageatlas.com. I repeat, languageatlas.com. And of course, I will also share the links in the comment section and description, so you can immediately find the answer and click on the link if you want to do so. Thanks again for watching. I wish you the best of luck when it comes to learning the Russian language, and have a great day. Goodbye.